what is the easiest way to know which ETF has the highest score in their industry?
I know people want to know how to judge these without having to lean on us. So if you go to ETF.com / and put in whatever ETF you're looking at. So / VOO, because it's one of the ones that I love the most from Vanguard. You'll be able to see the score or grade that they give it. It's one of the highest scores you have available. It's a 95. I absolutely love VOO. I think one of the best managed funds of all time. But go through and look at SMH, VTI, VGT, and see which ones are doing well and what grade they have. Also, if you go look at that 5-year chart, it'll tell you how price action or price is done historically over the last 5 years. But if you have a good grade plus price action that is going up and to the right, that's how you know you are in a safe ETF. It's just like school. Like if you get to the C range or the B- range, you want to stay away from it. You want everything that are A's and A pluses. And you can also break them down by sector. So if you want to look at oil, natural gas, housing, real estate, you can break them down there as well.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that, and that's a great point when you talk about sectors, because there's different ETFs inside these sectors, and so it will show you how it's performing inside that sector. So when it gets its grade, it's based on how it's performing, but also how it's performing inside of its own sector. And so it's a great tool. I think ETF DB is another one that I use. So when I'm talking about how I look at the performance of an ETF, I'm looking at obviously what is inside of it. And so I think that's the most important thing. People just hear the 3 letters and like, oh, it's an ETF, but no, you really need to see what the ETF has inside to see if those are companies that you want to invest in. And so that's a great thing. And finding the trends, right? It'll show you how it's performed over the past year, how it's performed over the past 3 years, how it's performed over the past 5 years. All these things you need to take into account before you make that type of decision. Another thing is how long the ETF has been around.
Yes.
Right?
You don't want any new ETFs.
Right, look at some of the start dates of some of these ETFs. If you look at them, it's like, 2020, 2021. Then you'll see some 1999. Oh, okay. Right. And then I know we'll talk about some of the other variables. We're looking at volume being one of them, but like all these things are things you should be looking at, right? When we talk about volume, and the reason it's important is like how many people are trading that on a daily basis, right? Is it in the hundreds of thousands or is it in the millions? Is it in the tens of millions? The more value, the more likely you're to get in and out of trades, the more you're not going to be stuck with something, especially if you're doing options. And we spoke about that. It's like, there's no volume.
You can't get out even if you got in a great trade.
Or buy it from. So you got to be mindful of all these things. So ETF.com is a great one, an absolutely great one. ETFDB is a great one. And even when I'm doing from an individual standpoint, Zacks.com was one of those ones. And
I like Zacks a lot.
But just from a grading system, it was like, okay, you can see how they've been graded. They can see how they perform on a quarterly basis, and they break down their quarterly performance by the things that they're offering. So all those things, when we talk about do your research, especially if you're doing ETFs, which we said is probably one of the more safer things to invest in, that in index funds. These are great tools. Great tools. Use all the tools that you have at your disposal.
Absolutely. And if you go to the efficiency tab, you can also look at the max downside that ETF will have and the maximum upside. It's pretty interesting to see. So like the max downside deviation over a 12-month period for VOO is 6% maximum drawdown that they're expecting over the next 12 months. It's pretty damn good in comparison to like Lucid Motors or somebody like that. So you need to know what the drawdown or what the worst case, and some of you, just got over your little Valentine's Day heartbreak. You got to start checking to see what's real and what's not early in your investment portfolio, as well as you do in your love life. Shotty, you had a good Valentine's Day?
Every day
is amazing.
Day. Shout out to all the lovers.
Every day is Valentine's Day. Another good site too is Morningstar. Morningstar.
You've been using that for years.
Yeah, they have a lot of professionals use Morningstar. They have a paid subscription, but they have free products as well. And they rate everything. They rate 529 plans, they rate ETFs, they rate a variety of different things. And you have like different ratings. Like 5 stars, the highest rating that you could possibly get in Morningstar. So that's another site. So there's a variety of different sites out there, and you can just see whichever one you feel most comfortable with. But you should definitely do some level of research on the ETFs.
Use all 3.
Yeah. And the exchange traded funds ETFs, once again, is an easier way to invest. It's a safer way to invest as opposed to picking individual stocks. And it gives you more specific target in an industry as opposed to an index fund where like a S&P 500 index is going to cover everything. right? Like 500 companies where, let's say like a QQQ, that's going to be just in technology. So, or like, is it one will be just in consumer discretion, or just in energy, or just in financial services. So you get like 10 or 15 companies that's just in the financial services industry, as opposed to every single company that's on the stock market. So, yeah, it's something to think about, especially if you are looking to invest and don't know, the best way to go about it. That's an easier way to get involved.
2 tech, 2 index, no stress. Go look at the score of VOO, VTI, Apple, and Microsoft, and tell me what the average score is. We want companies that are going to stand the test of time, do incredible over long periods of time, and not have to stress. This is an easy way to know if these companies or ETFs are doing incredibly well. Please put in chat, investing is simple. Humans make it complicated. 2 tech, 2 index, no stress.
And they're updated too, right? So if there's a quarter, or if there's a year that ETF is not performing, then it's updated. That 95 score won't be 95; it'll be dropped. So it's one of those things. It updates live. So definitely use the tools.
My graduates from my school being Forbes, bag drop.
Bag drop.
A mic drop, bag drop.
Bag drop.